365-day Bible read. Today we're going to be reading Deuteronomy from the Old Testament, Deuteronomy chapters 31 and 32, and then we'll do the Bible study for Deuteronomy chapter 31 and 32, and then we're going to go on over to the New Testament and we're starting a new book. We're starting Joshua, so we'll be reading Joshua chapter 1, verse 1 through 23, and we're not going to do the Bible study from that. We're going to wait until tomorrow once we finish Joshua chapter 1, and then we'll do the Bible study for the entire chapter. I am following the Year Reading Bible schedule from esv.org. I started from January 1st's date, so basically, if you start from January 1st and just count down the amount of days that we're on, that's how you'll know what day, what month and day that we're on off their schedule. I didn't start, so I'm not actually on June 21st's date on their calendar. So I did it that way so that I would be starting from the beginning of the Old Testament and the beginning of the New Testament and reading a little bit of each testament every day, but reading straight through. We're not skipping any books, we're not skipping any chapters, so we're just reading straight through. So yes, but we're gonna get started. So Deuteronomy chapter 31. Joshua to succeed Moses. So Moses continued to speak these words to all Israel, and he said to them, I am 120 years old today. I am no longer able to go out and come in. The Lord has said to me, you shall not go over this Jordan. The Lord your God himself will go over before you. He will destroy these nations before you, so that you shall dispossess them. And Joshua will go over at your head, as the Lord has spoken. And the Lord will do to them as he did to Sihon and Og, the kings of the Amorites, and to their land, when he destroyed them. And the Lord will give them over to you, and you shall do to them according to the whole commandment that I have commanded you. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Then Moses summoned Joshua and said to him in the sight of all Israel, be strong and courageous, for you shall go with this people into the land that the Lord has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you shall put them in possession of it. It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed. The reading of the law. Then Moses wrote this law and gave it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and to all the elders of Israel. And Moses commanded them, at the end of every 7 years, at the set time in the year of release, at the feast of booths, when all Israel comes to appear before the Lord your God at the place that he will choose, you shall read this law before all Israel in their hearing. Assemble the people, men, women, and little ones, and the sojourner within your towns, that they may hear and learn to fear the Lord your God, and be careful to do all the words of this law, and that their children who have not known it may hear and learn to fear the Lord your God as long as you live in the land that you are going over the Jordan to possess. Joshua commissioned to lead Israel. And the Lord said to Moses, behold, the days approach when you must die. Call Joshua and present yourselves in the tent of meeting, that I may commission him. And Moses and Joshua went and presented themselves in the tent of meeting. And the Lord appeared in the tent in a pillar of cloud And the pillar of cloud stood over the entrance of the tent. And the Lord said to Moses, Behold, you are about to lie down with your fathers. Then this people will rise in horror after the foreign gods among them in the land that they are entering. And they will forsake me and break my covenant that I have made with them. Then my anger will be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them and hide my face from them, and they will be devoured. And many evils and troubles will come upon them, so that they will say in that day, Have not these evils come upon us because our God is not among us? And I will surely hide my face in that day because of all the evil that they have done, because they have turned to other gods. Now, therefore, write this song and teach it to the people of Israel. Put it in their mouths, that this song may be a witness for me against the people of Israel. For when I have brought them into the land flowing with milk and honey, which I swore to give to their fathers, and they have eaten and are full and grown fat, they will turn to other gods and serve them, and despise me and break my covenant. And when many evils and troubles have come upon them, this song shall confront them as a witness, for it will live unforgotten in the mouths of their offspring. For I know that they are inclined to do even today, before I have brought them into the land that I swore to give. So Moses wrote this song the same day and taught it to the people of Israel. And the Lord commissioned Joshua the son of Nun and said, Be strong and courageous, for you shall bring the people of Israel into the land that I swore to give them. I will be with you. When Moses had finished writing the words of this law in a book to the very end, Moses commanded the Levites who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, Take this book of the law and put it by the side of the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, that it may be there for a witness against you. For I know how rebellious and stubborn you are. Behold, even today, while I am yet alive with you, you have been rebellious against the Lord. How much more after my death? Assemble to me all the elders of your tribes and your officers, that I may speak these words in their ears, and call heaven and earth to witness against them. For I know that after my death you will surely act corruptly and turn aside from the way that I have commanded you. And in the days to come evil will befall you, because you will do what is evil in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to anger through the work of your hands. The Song of Moses. Then Moses spoke the words of this song until they were finished in the ears of all the assembly of Israel. All right, so that was the end of Deuteronomy chapter 31. So we're now going to do the Bible study for Deuteronomy chapter 31 for what we just read. And then we'll come back to Deuteronomy and read Deuteronomy chapter 32. And then we'll do the Bible study for that. Today is, after today, we have one more day of the book of Deuteronomy. So tomorrow is the last day of the book of Deuteronomy. So that's exciting. All right. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 31 Bible study. It's only 3 questions long because the chapter wasn't that long. Okay, so here we go. Deuteronomy chapter 31 Bible study. Who would be the new leader of Israel after Moses? Joshua would lead the people after Moses. What were the people to do at the end of every 7 years? The words of the law were to be read before all the people at the appointed time of release during the Feast of Tabernacles. How did God know that Israel would rebel against him in the future? God knew the inclination of their hearts by their actions thus far. They were rebellious when Moses was with them. They will be more rebellious when he is gone. All right, so that was the Bible study for Deuteronomy chapter 31. So now we're going back to the Old Testament and reading Deuteronomy chapter 32, and then we'll do the Bible study for this. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 32. The whole chapter is like a song. Yes. Okay. But I'm not going to sing it. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 32. Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak, and let the earth hear the words of my mouth. May my teaching drop as the rain, my speech distill as the dew, like gentle rain upon the tender grass, and like showers upon the herb, for I will proclaim the name of the Lord. Ascribe greatness to our God, the rock. His work is perfect, for all his ways are justice, a God of faithfulness and without inequity. Just and upright is he. They have dealt corruptly with him. They are no longer his children because they are blemished. They are a crooked and twisted generation. Do you thus repay the Lord, you foolish and senseless people? Is not he your father who created you, who made you and established you? Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you, your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind, he fixed the borders of the peoples according to the number of the sons of God. But the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is allotted heritage. Jacob his allotted heritage. He found him in a desert land and in the howling waste of the wilderness. He encircled him. He cared for him. He kept him as the apple of his eye, like an eagle that stirs up its nest, that flutters over its young, spreading out its wings, catching them, bearing them on its pinions. The Lord alone guided him. No foreign god was with him. He made him ride on the high places of the land, and he ate the produce of the field, and he suckled him with honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock, curds from the herd and milk from the flock, with fat of lambs, rams of Bashan, and goats, with the very finest of the wheat. And you drank foaming wine made from the blood of the grape. But Jeshurun grew fat and kicked. You grew fat, stout, and sleek. Then he forsook God who made him and scoffed at the rock of his salvation. They stirred him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations they provoked him to anger. They sacrificed to demons that were no gods, to gods they had never known, to new gods that had come recently, whom your fathers had never dreaded. You were unmindful of the rock that bore you, and you forgot the God who gave you birth. The Lord saw it and spurned them because of the provocation of his sons and his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see that their end will be, for they are a perverse generation, children in whom is no faithfulness. They have made me jealous with what is no God. They have provoked me to anger with their idols. So I will make them jealous with those who are no people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled by my anger, and it burns to the depths of Sheol, devours the earth and its increase, and sets on fire the foundations of the mountains. And I will heap disasters upon them. I will spend my arrows on them. They shall be wasted with hunger and devoured by plague and poisonous pestilence. I will send the teeth of beasts against them, with the venom of things that crawl in the dust. Outdoors the sword shall bereave, and indoors terror. For young man and women alike, the nursing child with the man of gray hairs. I would have said, I will cut them to pieces. I will wipe them from human memory, had I not feared provocation by the enemy, lest their adversaries should misunderstand, lest they should say, our hand is triumphant. It was not the Lord who did all this. For they are a nation void of counsel, and there is no understanding in them. If they were wise, they would understand this. They would discern their latter end. How could one have chased 1,000, and two have put 10,000 to flight, unless their rock had sold them, and the Lord had given them up? For their rock is not as our rock. Our enemies are by themselves. For their vine comes from the vine of Sodom, and from the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of poison. Their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of serpents, and the cruel venom of asps. Is not this laid up in store with me, sealed up in my treasuries? Vengeance is mine, and recompense for the time when their foot shall slip. For the day of their calamity is at hand, and their doom comes swiftly. For the Lord will vindicate his people and have compassion on his servants when he sees that their power is gone, and there is none remaining bond or free. Then he will say, where are their gods, the rock in which they took refuge? Who ate the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their drink offering? Let them rise up and help you. Let them be your protection. See, now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God beside me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal, and there is none that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and swear, as I live forever, if I sharpen my flashing sword and my hand takes hold on judgment, I will take vengeance on my adversaries and will repay those who hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh. With the blood of the slain and the captives from the long-haired heads of the enemy. Rejoice with him, O heavens. Bow down to him, all gods, for he avenges the blood of his children and takes vengeance on his adversaries. He repays those who hate him and cleanses his people's land. Moses came and recited all the words of this song in the hearing of the people, he and Joshua the son of Nun. And when Moses had finished speaking all these words to all Israel, he said to them, take to heart all the words by which I am warning you today, that you may command them to your children, that they may be careful to do all the words of this law. For it is no empty word for you, but your very life. And by this word you shall live long in the land that you are going over the Jordan to possess. Moses' death foretold. That very day the Lord spoke to Moses, go up this mountain of the Go up this mountain of the Abram, Mount Nebo, which is the land of Moab, opposite Jericho, and view the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the people of Israel for a possession, and die on the mountain which you go up, and be gathered to your people, as Aaron your brother died in Mount Hor, and was gathered to his people, because you broke faith with me in the midst of the people of Israel at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin, and because you did not treat me as holy in the midst of the people of Israel. For you shall see the land before you, but you shall not go there, into the land that I am giving to the people of Israel. Okay, so that was Deuteronomy chapter 32, and we're now going to do the Bible study for Deuteronomy chapter 32, and then we're going to go on over to the New Testament, and we're starting the book of we're starting the book of Luke today, so we're going to read Luke chapter 1, verse 1 through 23. And then tomorrow we'll finish Luke chapter 1 and we'll do the Bible study for the entire Luke chapter 1 tomorrow. Also, tomorrow is the last day of the book of Deuteronomy, so we'll be starting the book of Joshua tomorrow from the Old Testament. So, okay, let's get started. Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 32 Bible study. It's only 4 questions long. Okay, what was the purpose for the Song of Moses? The Song of Moses would be proof later of God's prediction that Israel would turn away from him after they entered into the new land and had become full from the land. Who wrote the words to the Song of Moses? God chose the words of the Song of Moses. Why would Moses not enter into the promised land? Moses could not enter the promised land because he had not haloed God, honored or given God the credit for the water at the rock of Kadesh. Where was Moses to die? Moses was to go up to the top of Mount Nebo and view the land Israel was going to possess. There he would also die. Okay, so that was the Bible study for Deuteronomy chapter 32, and we're now going on over to the New Testament, and we're starting the book of Luke now. So we're going to read Luke chapter 1, verse 1 through 23, and then we'll finish Luke chapter 1 tomorrow, and we'll do the Bible study for the entire Luke chapter 1 tomorrow. All right, see where to stop. All right, so Luke chapter 1, dedication of Theophilus. Inasmuch as many have undertaken to compile a narrative of the things that have been accomplished among us, just as those who from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the word have delivered them to us. It seemed good to me also, having followed all things closely for some time past, to write an orderly account for you, most excellent Theophilus, that you may have certainty concerning the things you have been taught. Birth of John the Baptist foretold. In the days of Herod, king of Judah, there was a priest named Zechariah, of the division of Abijah, and he had a wife from the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. And they were both righteous before God, walking blamelessly in all the commandments and statutes of the Lord. But they had no child because Elizabeth was barren, and both were advanced in years. Now, while he was serving as priest before God when his division was on duty, according to the custom of the priesthood, he was chosen by lot to enter the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And the whole multitude of the people were praying outside at the hour of incense. And there appeared to him an angel of the Lord standing on the right side of the altar of incense. And Zechariah was troubled when he saw him, and fear fell upon him. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, for your prayer has been heard, and your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall call his name John. And you will have joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth, for he will be great before the Lord. And he must not drink wine or strong drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit, even from his mother's womb. And he will turn many of the children of Israel to the Lord their God. And he will go before him in the spirit and power of Elijah, to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready for the Lord a people prepared." And Zechariah said to the angel, "How shall I know this? For I am an old man, and my wife is advanced in years." And the angel answered him, "I am Gabriel. I stand in the presence of God, and I was sent to speak to you and to bring you this good news. And behold, you will be silent and unable to speak until the day that these things take place, because you did not believe my words, which will be fulfilled in their time." And the people were waiting for Zechariah, and they were wondering at his delay in the temple. And when he came out, he was unable to speak to them. And they realized that he had seen a vision in the temple. And he kept making signs to them and remained mute. And when his time of service was ended, he went to his home. Okay, so that was the first chapter of Luke that we just started. Luke chapter 1, verse 1 through 23. We're not going to do the Bible study for Luke chapter 1. We're going to wait until tomorrow once we finish Luke chapter 1, and then we'll do the Bible study for the entire chapter, chapter 1 of Luke. I am following the Year Reading Bible schedule from esv.org, and they split up the books of the New Testament up until like 2 days, some of the chapters, because they want us to be able to read some of the Old Testament and some of the New Testament daily for this entire year that we're reading the Bible straight through. So if we read all the books of the Bible, all the chapters of the New Testament straight through, without splitting them into 2 days, we would finish the New Testament way before we finish the Old Testament, because there's more books in the Bible of the Old Testament than there is in the New Testament. So I think that's why esv.org does it that way on their schedule. So I'm just following their schedule. But if you look on their schedule online, I did not start from April's date. From when we first started doing these Bible readings, I started from January 1st's date. That way I can start at the beginning of the Old Testament and the beginning of the New Testament and read straight through. We're not skipping any books of the Bible, and we're not skipping any chapters. We're reading the Bible straight through, but a little bit of the Old Testament and a little bit of the New Testament every single day. And some of the chapters of the New Testament will be split into 2 days. And then, so like we just read Luke chapter 1. We only read verse 1 through 23. We'll finish it tomorrow, and then we'll do the Bible study for Luke chapter 1 tomorrow. So so our day is complete. A recap of what we did today. We read from the Old Testament, Deuteronomy chapter 31 and chapter 32, and then we did the Bible study for Deuteronomy chapter 31 and chapter 32, and then we went on over to the New Testament and we read Luke chapter 1 verse 1 through 23, and then we'll finish Luke chapter 1 tomorrow, and then we'll do the Bible study for Luke chapter 1 tomorrow. So yes, our day is complete. I love you guys. God loves you. You are worthy. You are valuable. You are important. You are beautiful. You are enough. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I love you guys. Enjoy the rest of your night.